doing a 30-day yoga challenge and what I learned from that. Hello and welcome back. So this is the third video of the challenge series. If you haven't seen them yet, I'm gonna put them in the description box down below so you can have a look at it if you want. So in the first video, I just talk about general up and downs sides of doing those challenges, like what are the pro and what are the cons of doing those challenges. In the second video, I share my experience of my recent 30-day no sugar challenge and what I learned from that. And in this video, I'm gonna talk about the recent 30-day yoga challenge that I did. So by now you should know that I am a huge fan of challenges and I love doing that. And so consistency isn't really the problem for me, discipline and all that part. I actually always had the opposite challenge, and that is that of failure. I would beat myself up, like I would feel like a total failure, and it's just because I'm like so super hard on myself, but also because I had up until now this very rigid mindset in terms, if it says a 30-day challenge, it means 30 days without a fail, and it doesn't matter if I'm in the mood, it doesn't matter if I'm even like maybe sick or something like that. I'm gonna follow through, I'm gonna push through, and I didn't care about the consequences because it was like only then did I succeed. And this was even more so when it came to those fitness challenges. I was super motivated, I was very consistent, I followed through, I did what I had to do and I never gave up. However, then came the end of the challenge and I kind of felt like a failure because I didn't hit the goal that I had set to myself. So for myself, the challenges always had that like aftertaste of not being good enough. And I noticed quite a few interesting things while I was doing this challenge. However, I have done a lot of work on myself. I noticed how I behaved and reacted different than I did in the past. So lots of things that I did in terms of my mindset was I was starting to be more compassionate with myself, taking my well-being like as a top priority instead of achieving some goals, and also self-love, like loving myself even when I'm not my best. And during this challenge I was really able to reap the benefits of it. One of the things that I really noticed was my ability to let go and allow myself to practice at the level that I was at. There are some yoga poses that are quite advanced but come very, very easily to me, and there are other ones that are not that advanced but I have the hardest time with them. And usually when I did the yoga, like not just challenges but yoga classes in general, or also other practices like Pilates or ballet or any of any kind of physical sports activity. When I was trying to do an exercise and I wasn't able to perform it at the highest level, I felt super frustrated and I pushed myself to the absolute limit. If we go back to yoga, for example, downward dog is like I can't stretch my legs completely, they're always slightly bent. And if you have been a little bit into yoga, everybody tells you that this is okay, this is normal, it's quite advanced and whatever. But I pushed myself to the absolute limit of my pain tolerance. And this time I noticed that I was more willing and okay with having my knees bent and just focus on the part that I was able to improve, like creating more space in the neck, or that I just pedaled out like one leg and then the other end was just focusing on stretching them individually instead of forcing myself to stretch both legs at the same time, and it was more than my body could actually take. So there was this aspect of being more willing to be where I'm at with my practice without punishing myself or feeling like a failure. Another aspect that I noticed was my willingness or my ability to accept that I had a crappy session or that I had a crappy workout. There are just those moments where working out just doesn't work out. So it's kind of one of those sessions where it's like things feel hard, they feel heavy, they don't move as smooth as they usually do, and you feel like there's nothing about it that you can do. Like it's not even that you're not willing, it's just like it's just not working. And with this challenge, I noticed to accept that better, like similar to what I said prior, to accept where I'm at my level. I also had gained the ability to accept that it's not going as smooth as other times, and I allowed myself to adjust to maybe an easier pose or an alternative pose. Maybe instead of going to downward dog, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take 5 breaths in child pose. Or there were other times where I saw, okay, this session today is gonna be 60 minutes long, but I can already tell by the way I feel today that like, not just don't feel it in terms of, oh, I don't feel it, but it's like, I know that my body will not perform the best today. I've felt like weak and not in my best shape the whole day. So why force myself to an even challenging workout session or yoga session? Instead of going for an easy one, allowing myself to move and feel good about myself. So what I started to do is, instead of following the plan rigidly as I would have in the past, I started to adjust according to my needs. And this is even more important if you're a woman because of the monthly cycle that you're going through. Which actually also brings me to the last point. Allowing myself to take a break, a day or even 2 days off, which was an absolute non-negotiable for me. If I was saying I was going to do a 30-day challenge, I was going to do it no matter what. And I didn't even care if I had a fever or a cold or whatever. I would get up and do that session. This is how extreme and harsh I was with myself. So what I really was able to do during this 30-day challenge was like, you know what, I am on my period, I'm feeling super weak. It's the day where I just have the lowest energy and I don't want to move, I really want to rest and I need that recovery time. So really allowing myself to take a rest day, even though I wasn't necessarily sick or ill, but just because for some reason my body demanded it. And it could have been because I was on my period and I had like a legit reason for not working out because my body wasn't able to or didn't have the energy as it used to. But I even took a break in days where I had, for example, a super long work day, and like long work days or something like that, or a full schedule was never a reason for me to take a break. But this time I did it. And to some people, this might be like a no-brainer. I mean, like, of course I'm gonna take a break if I need it. But to me, it wasn't. Like that, it's so funny because a lot of people are like, oh, I've had such a hard time with discipline and motivating myself. But I'm actually on the other spectrum where I'm like, I'm never giving myself a break. I'm never allowing myself to rest. So on one side, I wanted to show you like a different perspective on how it can also go to the other extreme. Like you can even start them being, oh, I'm not disciplined, to just overdoing it and never allowing yourself a break. So one of the points that I want to highlight is really finding that balance. So all in all, I'm actually not even sure how many days it took me to accomplish that 30-day challenge. I think it might have been 40 days, maybe a few less. And the cool thing, I feel great about it. And the even better thing about it is because of that, because it wasn't that rigid plan anymore, it was easier to transition out of it and to continue to consistently practice. Which prior was like, you know, I was such in that do mode that after the challenge was over, I kind of collapsed because I didn't take time to recover. But because I did some additional days off during these 30 days, after the challenge was over, it was easier for me to keep a consistent practice. So I hope you find this one interesting and were able to look at it from a different perspective, in terms that challenges are like really cool, but sometimes there's like a huge benefit on extending a certain challenge and making it longer by taking breaks in between. Now obviously it depends what kind of challenge you are doing. If you're doing like the no sugar challenge, there's no really point to take a break because it's counterintuitive. But in a challenge with fitness like this one, it can actually be beneficial to not completely 100% stuck to the challenge, but actually adjust it a little bit. So this is basically the message that I wanted to give with this video. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm wishing you a beautiful day.